Houston. Houston, we have a problem. DJ Apollo has landed. I repeat, DJ Apollo has landed at Hipmix 88.9 WEIU.
Welcome to the Tales of Music and Film podcast. Now, this one, I got my awesome friends. Who are they again?
Preston.
And Aidan.
And I'm super excited to have them back on because we're talking about one of the most famous, I consider this to be like one of the most famous 90s movies of all time. And Preston was actually the one who inspired me to talk about this movie because a few weeks ago, we had watched Day After Tomorrow, which was loads of fun. And we were talking about other disaster movies, and Preston was talking about like how kind of stupid the main cast is of this movie. We're about to talk about how they kind of went to extreme lengths to get their device to work. And the movie we are reviewing today is Twister, the famous 1996 hit that I think is one of the greatest disaster movies ever, right behind Dante's Peak. It's really good.
Oh, it's one of my personal favorite watches. Anytime in my household this movie comes up, everyone is just quoting it day and night.
And I was actually introduced to this movie because I watched it in science class in high school. And
because it's a very scientifically accurate movie.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it was not high school. It was before that. It was 7th or 8th grade we actually watched this movie. And I fell in love with it instantly. Totally not because of Helen Hunt, but that's beside the point.
Besides the point, you were in it for the science.
Yeah, I was in it for the science and the adventure. And yeah, this movie is over 25 years old.
Good Lord, crazy. I feel old now.
Yeah, I know.
Man, I just feel older and older today. This is like the 5th thing that's made me feel that way.
Yeah.
It's a bad day for us.
Yeah, it is. And so some basic information for you. So the movie was released on May 10th, 1996, and it had a budget of $92 million, and it proceeded to gross over $495.7 million. So this was a summer smash hit for sure.
Oh,
very
100%.
Good. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, though, what made this movie so good to me was the cast. Dude, I never thought I needed to see Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in a movie together, and I'm here for it.
And surprising, interesting supporting role from Philip Hoffman.
Yeah. Oh, dude, his character in this is so funny.
God, it's just when you realize how many of these cast members we've lost over the years.
I know, Hoffman's passed away. We've lost a lot of people from this.
Hoffman passed away?
Yeah, he died back in 2014 while they were filming Hunger Games Part 2.
That's right.
Yeah,
I did hear that.
There was a scene they couldn't do with him because he died. So what they had to do was in Hunger Games Part 2, what they did was his character sent Jennifer Lawrence's character a letter congratulating her on the victory when he was supposed to be there in person. So they had to come up with a new way to make the scene work.
Make the scene happen.
That's right. Oh, I did hear about that.
Yeah, and his character in this is so funny. He's
the heart of this movie.
Yeah, one of the best. Yeah, I watched this not too long ago. I'm just thinking to myself, man, he really carried this. Just the cast.
Well, I won't say that he carried it, but he definitely gave it a level of light that would be missing if he wasn't there.
Yeah, I just love. My favorite scene is when they finally get Dorothy inside the Twister. He's like, "Dorothy's flying! She's flying, man!"
Dude, there are endless lines that I can quote from him. It's the wonders of nature, baby.
Oh, that's right. Going green.
That one was Pax, and then he follows up with greenage.
Yep, greenage. Yeah.
I must say that I also appreciate the reference to Wizard of Oz.
With Dorothy.
Naturally, they have to. They are covering Twisters. Dorothy gets sent to Oz from a Twister.
Exactly.
And I feel like there is another tongue-in-cheek moment when Bill and Joe are driving the giant Dodge truck down the highway and a house gets blown onto the road and they have to drive through. It was
Dorothy's house.
It was Dorothy's house.
Yeah. She's in Oz and they're taking a car right through the house.
Yeah. And now, guys, I gotta be honest with you. When I was younger and I watched this movie scared the crap out of me. Like,
Well, yeah,
seriously.
Like, it's definitely good at portraying like how scary a tornado can be, even the lower class ones. Like how we'll cover this more on how they determine the level of these tornadoes. But the first one being an F1, but still how it's still very scary. And, how terrifying it was when Paxton and Hunt's characters are just hiding under that bridge and just praying they don't get taken.
Yeah. And because like the opening scene to this movie, like I remember I watched this scene on TV when I was a kid, and after I watched this, every summer I kept asking my mom, "Are there any tornado warnings?" Like I was so scared,
like,
you know.
That didn't affect me so much at my parents' house, but when I was at my grandparents' house, their house is in the middle of the countryside. Oh God, I was scared to death every night there was a storm.
Yeah, like dude, the opening scene to this, I forgot like how intense it is. Like so it opens up in the late '60s when Joe's a little girl on her parents' farm, and an F5 hits their farm, and her parents take her down into their twister shelter,
their storm shelter.
Yeah, and her dad gets taken when he tries to hold the door while the twister's right. I'm just like, so there's going to be a long list of things you can cover on things that don't make any sense. It's like, first of all, so he gets sucked out with the door, right? And then Joe and her mom are just fine. They're just standing there.
Here's the thing.
Why didn't he just go back there and stand with them?
Also, can we acknowledge how badly made that storm shelter is? The fact that it's just held together by Phillips head screws.
Yeah, like
that's holding that door to it.
Like it's made out of wood. Like
it was made out of aluminum, but yeah, like that was a very poorly made storm shelter.
Yeah, really.
And he would have been better off staying back there with them. He would have survived.
Yeah, considering how they make it that the door can be off, but Joe and her mom and the dog are standing in the back, and guess what? They don't get sucked into the void of the tornado.
Which is probably pretty scientifically sound.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say for certain. I'm not a weather person.
But if
we should
just thinking
Scott
about basic physics.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like a whole like plot hole of things we could go into. I mean, it's like that's like trying to discuss physics in a Star Wars movie, you know, like
that's like people trying to discuss the Holdo maneuver.
Yeah, or like how can those ships drop bombs straight down? They're in space. They should float or something.
Technically speaking, even if it was not in space, they wouldn't drop straight down. But that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, literally. And also, yeah, this movie has like all kinds of. So the opening scene, right? So we just covered that. So it cuts to 30 years later in the late 90s, and Joe is now grown up. She's like, she's like in her early 30s now, and she has this twister team now where they're trying to gather data so that cities can make better warning systems. So like maybe. So I remember one of the characters say, if we can get the proper data, we can get warnings after 30 minutes, like before it even
about 15,
hits or something.
Yeah.
And
though the biggest thing that it's different is compared to, it's not that it really gives warnings, is that it would give what we now have are watches. Because a warning is when there is a tornado on the ground, but a warning is when there are conditions that will favor a tornado.
Yeah, and so that's the plot of this movie, and we find out that Bill, when he was younger, in college, he designed this contraption called Dorothy, where it's this giant silver metal capsule with all these little balls inside of it with like these sensors, and you have to lay it down in the path of the twister, and then the sensors will all release and go around it or something.
Are we gonna finally go into the design of Dorothy and how that doesn't make sense?
Well, we can. I always thought that was a cool contraption, but is there plot holes to it?
Well, it's a bit weird. Like the sensors and ideas, like it makes sense on how it'll work. Like I'm not a big tech guy, so I can't say whether or not it would work. Like I do know a bit about tech, but I know about cameras and stuff. I don't know about computers like that. But the thing is just like how it is gambling that when it gets up, it won't get smashed by debris. B, that it'll flip open the panel holding in all the sensors, and they'll fly up. Like, they at least do solve that on how they fly up, because like as base sensors, how would that work without being destroyed? Then at the end they take a bunch of aluminum cans and make fans on them so the wind will carry them, which helps it make sense. But my big thing is just like they are betting entirely that the way this will get flipped open is that it'll perfectly flip open the top contraption and then carry all the little sensors into the tornado.
Yeah, that's very true. And the whole time just like, why can't you just set it down with the lid already off? You know, like,
well, it's definitely a bit questionable because, like, then again, this is a hard thing that no one in their right mind would want to do, is because they still have to chase the tornado, find its damage path, and figure out a way to get the sensors into them.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, this is like one of the main things that Preston brought up. I would love to hear your input on this. Like, the fact that, like, you're telling me these people have to get right in the damage path to put it down. Like, why can't you just, like, bury it in, like, a hole or something? You know, like...
Go ahead,
Or
Preston.
you could literally just set that somewhere in Tornado Alley and then just research and wait for a tornado to come.
Well-
you don't have to do it right after it forms. Just wait for when it starts.
Sure.
Well, here's the thing I'll say the problem with that is that it's budget ideas of how like much that tech costs to make
Sure.
Dorothy, and doing that is they are setting them up in random places, and you realize how big Tornado Alley is. Like, and it's not like we get tornadoes every single year at a reliable pattern.
No.
So you can't, and the reason they need this is because they can't really predict tornadoes.
yeah.
So, like, this is honestly, like, on what they, like, what their implied budget is and what they could do. Like, they couldn't afford to just pick random spots where Dorothy could work. And then the damage path is also unreliable. Like, say, you could have it in the right town, but the tornado could go nowhere near the sensor.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but I just the design in general I thought was really cool though.
Yeah, like the general design is cool. Like it has just naturally, like it has like what I'm saying about this machine. It's very, very nitpicky. Like,
Sure, yeah.
Like it's not like it ruins the movie. Like I'm not there saying like, oh my god, they didn't do this tech right. This is a wrong film. It's a bad film.
Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking about that.
Did they have to drive a truck into the tornado?
Like I just
Well-
love how, you know, I just love how so they come up with the idea, okay, so after five failed attempts, they realize, okay, we can't just lay this down somewhere. It has to be weighed down to
Well-
something. So let's just kamikaze the freaking truck
Well,
into
here's
it.
the thing. There was a bit of a suggestion that it wasn't gonna work. It was too light, but they didn't really consider that. They thought it was just they need to make the sensors fly, but they didn't realize until they got a close look at Dorothy 3 failing. That they need to really weigh it down so that it doesn't get blown over and break the sensors
Sure.
before it gets in. And they were desperate at that point because naturally it's the end of the film. We need to do something drastic.
Yeah.
So naturally the most drastic thing you can think of, let's kamikaze this truck into a tornado and make our characters run from a twister on foot.
I just like how they're just, dude, okay, look, Twister's right here. They're like here, and they're just watching, like,
Their first instinct is to watch and not run for the hills.
it's like, guys, okay, truck made it in. Run! Why are you just standing there? Like,
No,
like,
no,
I
it's
get
not
it.
even just
You're
watch it
happy,
went
but
in. It's just like you kamikaze. Okay, we're out. We can stand. We can walk. Run.
In addition to that, why did all of those people have to go out for it?
Well, it's just they're all watching the data just to make sure
Yeah.
as they're there. Because remember, like, we didn't have as easy to do long signal technology back in the 90s.
That's
so
true.
They need to be within range.
yeah, that is also
and it
true.
wasn't just that, they were also trying to video it to make sure to have more proof, just to get all the data they could, because this is a very like rare phenomenon they can do. This isn't an easy experiment they can replicate.
Yeah, that is true. And also, I just want to take a quick minute for the story. There's so many questions. Like,
It's a disaster movie. Like, it can't get any more cliched than this.
Like, I'll never forget when we were watching Dante's Peak. Aidan and I were just going through. Okay, check number one. Main lead lost somebody important to them,
either deceased or divorced.
I love Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about Dante's Peak right
just
now.
as an example, because like Twister has like. It has every single disaster cliche imaginable in this. Like where do you start with?
Okay, I am gonna go through Bill Paxton's
go.
cliches.
Yeah, please go.
So he is he's discouraged by the science just because he wants a new life with his new fiance.
Yeah.
He still has he still has feelings for his ex-wife Jo.
Mm-hmm.
He jumps at the opportunity to get back into this life that he abandoned.
Yeah.
Driving away his fiance, also realizing he's still in love with Jo, and just says, "Bye-bye, Dr. Melissa Reeves. I'm gonna go back to this crazy woman."
Well, it's
who
just
loves
like
chasing twisters.
Well, I gotta admit though, this movie did have a really good message of like, don't get over obsessive with your work, because near the beginning of the movie, when Bill is driving down to meet with Jo to get the rest of the divorce papers signed, Bill's like, all she cares about is her work. That's the reason why they had a falling out, because she was so obsessed with Twister, she forgot to focus on her personal life. Every thought she had was about this and not about everything else.
Yeah, and I get that, but it does. But even then, like, why does Bill, because of that, go back to Jo instead of this new woman he's found, who likes the fact that he's becoming a weatherman?
Yeah.
But she still finds an interest when she sees this side of his life. Like, she finds it a little strange, but she respects it. Like, she didn't start having second guesses about him until she overheard Bill and Jo's talk after the third Twister and the third machine failed.
Which that scene, I'm just like, okay, how high did you have the volume up?
No, it's not just how high. How sensitive is the mic? The fact that she could hear it so clearly while they were outside of the truck in rain and wind.
Yeah, like they're super far away. Like, how is that? Like, we could spend all day just going through that, but yeah, dude, there's something about this film that didn't age well, in my personal opinion. It's just like, I still like Jo, even though I dragged you all the way out here, and I'm just gonna leave you in this city that was just literally demolished by an F5.
Well, he didn't choose to leave her. She decided to leave.
Yeah, she decided, sure, yeah. But I'm just like, dude, I felt so bad for her. Like, you could tell she generally liked him. And, like...
And he goes back just to the one who loves doing the most dangerous crap known to man.
I gotta admit, though, dude, the scene where he finally confronts Jo about how her obsession, like, you're gonna get yourself killed. Like, when is it, like, when he says, like, when is it enough? Like, how far do you have to risk your life before you're satisfied? Killing yourself's not going to bring your dad back. Just like he's confronting her about it, like right there. Like that scene, I'm telling you, Bill Paxton, he's one of the best parts about this movie. His performance in this is just like top notch.
Like the cast in general really brought this film together. Any particular performances you like, Preston?
Yeah.
I have to go with the Philip Hoffman.
You just love Dusty that much?
Yeah.
Oh man, just
can we also just the fact that this film's attempt to make an antagonist cast Carrie Hewells for Dr. Jonas Miller, the other guy who's trying to compete for the Twisters.
Yeah.
Like, what point did he honestly have in this film to just be a competition? Like, the simple antagonist could have just been the tornadoes themselves.
Yeah.
But they had to add a human antagonist.
I don't think
just
it worked.
to die in a very anticlimactic way.
Well, it's just like, dude, he can I just establish, number one, the guy was a complete dummy. Number two, I wanted Bill to beat the absolute crap out of him. He was so freaking annoying.
And just think, like, the funny funny thing is the confrontation that he gets, other than just grabbing him and slamming him against the van, is knocking his hat off. That is true elementary school fighting.
Yeah, I wanted Bill to break his nose or something. Like,
I thought I was the violent one of our friend group.
Like, I'm sorry,
You are.
he's just one of those like villains. Just you get irritated. You just want him to be put in his place. You know, just like, why are you here? Why do you exist? you know, just and the way he gets killed in this is like, dude. Okay, so it's like in this career field, you obviously would have had to have taken classes about
Twisters and whatnot.
like
tornadoes.
like Bill and Joe are literally yelling at you to turn around. And they know what they're talking about, considering they're in this career field.
Yep.
Why aren't you listening to them?
Yeah,
Because he was so
'cause he was
hungry to be the one that won.
He wanted to be the greedy one. He wanted the spotlight. He wanted the money.
Dude, can you?
That was the point.
And then his driver, you know the scene where that giant metal antenna goes through the windshield?
Oh god,
Like,
the thing that nearly pushed this thing into being a rated R film by watching a guy nearly get impaled, except for the fact that the camera cut away.
yeah, you see it go through the windshield. Like you can imagine, that went right through his head, most likely.
Who
like,
knows? It could have been something like when Bats dies in Baby Driver.
Oh,
And God, that was gruesome.
yeah, and then the car gets picked up by a twister, gets thrown into a field, and just blows up on impact.
It's just
Like,
so overly dramatic.
oh, it's just
Like, well, here's the thing. I wouldn't say too much for it exploding because with gasoline in the gas tank, it lights. That thing's gonna light up like a Christmas tree.
oh yeah, without a doubt. And I think the next thing we could get into, so. What are your guys' opinions on the late '90s effects in this? I feel like there's a few instances where it's a little dated. Like, for example, the scene where near the end of the movie where Joe and Bill are driving the Dodge truck by this company that has like combines and tractors out on display. When the Twister shows up and picks them up, it's some of the worst CG I've ever seen. You can tell they're extremely fake, during that scene. But do you have any examples of?
I think just in general, the scene where the truck goes into the tornado and you see the sensors going off, just the sensors, it just doesn't look good.
Like, there's no glisten to them. They're just steel balls.
Yeah. It doesn't look. It did not age well, those graphics.
Probably my favorite of not aged graphics is after they cut the opening scene after Joe's father dies, they show an orbital shot of Earth.
Oh my gosh! And you see
it's like how a child draws the Earth. It's perfectly blue waters, perfectly green, the same shade of green for Earth, and then just a couple of white fluffy clouds drawn on there. It looks so fake.
I know, and that satellite that comes by,
The one that looks like it's made of cardboard.
yeah, it's just like are we playing a PS2 game right now?
That is an insult to the PS2. The PS2 could do better than that.
Literally, the original Battlefront games had better looking effects than this movie. And that's from 2005.
Fallout 3 had better effects than that.
Well, here's the thing. You can't judge those games. Remember, Fallout 3 came out in, 2011?
Yeah, but it had poor graphics even for the time. Right?
Yeah, and even that looked better.
Does.
Right, but it had better graphics than that.
And also, so guys, this brings me to my next question. I'm so excited to hear your answer, but I'll go first. So, favorite scene in this movie? For me, my favorite scene is when they visit Joe's aunt.
Oh.
Because, dude, when they're all inside the house just eating dinner and having fun, it's such grandma feels. Like, whenever my family gets together and we're all at grandma's house eating food, like, that's exactly how it is. We're sitting around chit-chatting, having a bunch of laughs. Like, I love that scene so much.
It's not just the grandma vibes that you get from it, but just the real family of just how close this team is.
Yeah, literally. I love it so much.
Yeah, that is a really good scene.
Yeah.
Preston, what about you?
I I would agree with that. It felt like a Thanksgiving at my house.
Oh yeah, that's exactly how I felt. You have the steak, you have the side up eggs and all that. Just like, oh,
The
can
steak
I have
cooked in eggs.
Yes.
Like, I cannot watch that scene without having already ate, or I am just gonna get instantly craving red meat and make a big mistake with my wallet.
Have you guys ever played the game Monster Hunter?
Yes.
That food is so good. It makes me hungry.
And I love Monster Hunter so much, but I can't. But it's so heartbreaking when it's just like, I'm in college. I just take whatever food the dining halls give us. Then I'm
Yes.
playing Monster Hunter. I'm just like, you're getting a full steak, potatoes, ale. Just like, it looks so good. It hurts.
Fish.
Oh god,
Oh,
it
man.
hurts. Just like, oh my god, that looks so good. I want to eat it.
Yeah.
know.
So I'll ask you guys. So what's your favorite scene in this? Preston, you want to go first?
He already did. That was his.
Oh, that's his answer? Okay. I thought you guys were just agreeing with me on my answer.
Well, he's agreeing, but that's still his favorite.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
really?
my favorite
Okay.
scene.
How about you, Aiden?
Okay, so I also agree that scene's my favorite, but another one I really love is when the team begins the chase of the first tornado,
Yeah.
where Dusty screams, "It's the wonders of nature," and starts playing in the burger barn. For his truck, and I'm just like, that whole thing, just like, it's so crazy of just like how nuts these people are. And, but just how much fun they have doing this very dangerous thing. Because I remember just like a couple shows and people that I say that just do very dangerous things, you all know there's some level of crazy, and you just watch the, you know, oh, they are nuts.
Yeah. And dude, I was watching behind the scenes for this, and it's like all the shots of them driving down the roads with debris hitting them. They had two giant semi trucks behind the camera, and the crew was just picking debris items and just chugging them. Like,
Well, that makes sense.
and they
'cause-
had like fans on top of them, and they had. I think they had like water trucks with hoses
Well,
attached.
what did you expect them to
like-
do with all that expensive equipment? Find actual tornadoes
Yeah.
and film
Hey
on
guys,
site?
I want this to be as real as possible. Let's actually chase a twister.
You don't pay me enough for this, sir.
Why do I get a feeling that?
Well, there's one person that could pay enough for that, and that's Tom Cruise.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was gonna say that.
You wouldn't even
Like
have to
if
pay-
Tom Cruise
You
was
wouldn't
put,
even have to pay Tom Cruise for that. He'd just be like, "Hey, you want to go drive and chase a tornado?" He's like, "Sign me up."
sign me up.
Like,
Well, you
why do I
beat
get a
me
feeling
to
that's
it.
gonna happen in the next Mission Impossible movie now?
Well, they're going into outer space. Like it's been confirmed. They're at.
Oh, no, they have not confirmed that. Please tell me you're lying.
No, I'm not kidding. Like they're going to film. So okay, Mission Impossible is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah, I know this next
And
one's a two-parter.
I believe part 2 they're actually filming at the space station.
Tom Cruise? No. Just no.
Like we did a story on it for Newswatch. You actually showed a picture. They're building.
I remember that.
Like
God dang
they're building a new area to the station that's specifically for future filmmaking.
When you
How
have that
crazy.
much money as Tom Cruise, you just get envious that he just gets to do crap like that. Kind of like when Jeff Bezos made his rocket to go into space for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna restrain myself from saying even more jokes about that.
And then Elon Musk sending a car into the atmosphere.
just to recreate Fast and Furious 9, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not bring up Fast and Furious movies. That is a sore subject.
That would be a good subject though for like down the road. That'd be
Yeah, well,
that'd
that's
be good.
one that we'll have to do after a weekend of rewatching all the Fast and Furious movies.
I
which-
refuse.
Yeah, because I haven't seen any of the recent ones. I stopped after Fast 5.
I quit after 7 because like Paul Walker was the only reason I was watching. His character was the only reason. But
Yeah.
But anyway, like speaking of cars, like dude, Twister had better car effects than any of the Fast and Furious films in my
I
opinion.
do not agree with that. I do not agree.
Well,
with
I mean,
that.
I
It's just-
personally, I think it does. Like the red Dodge truck and Twister, it beats any of the Fast and Furious cars. Like it's more memorable to
like
me.
it may be more memorable, but it's you're comparing apples and oranges. the original Fast and Furious was all about street racing.
Yeah.
And you would not want to drive a freaking Dodge truck in a street race. You want to see how easily those things can be overtaken against the Dodge Charger?
Yeah, sure. You got a point.
Exactly.
I'm just...
Look, I get what you're saying. That's just like for you, it's more memorable the stuff they do in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's just you're more saying it's memorable. It doesn't mean it's better. It's just different.
You know,
See, and I'm not a Fast and Furious fan, so I can't input on this conversation.
Well, that's a you problem.
There's too many of them. I stopped after 2.
You didn't even watch Tokyo Drift?
No.
Tokyo Drift was actually really good.
that's my favorite one. And I was gonna say, lost track here. But dude, I just like how it's just like this movie is currently sponsored by Dodge Ram. I wonder if the Dodge Ram went up in sales after this. I'm curious.
I'll honestly take this type of product placement more than Michael Bay Mountain Dew, Bud Light, Xbox ads.
Yeah, Age of Extinction. Mark Wahlberg he literally walks up, picks up a Bud Light, just chugs it for no reason.
Literally no reason. Just he runs into a guy and this idiot who crashes a spaceship in the middle of, I believe it was Hong Kong.
Or so. Yeah, I'm just like.
And he just goes, "You better have insurance." And I'm just like, that is your concern, that he has insurance, not the fact that he just crashed a spaceship into you and a Bud Light truck. And his reaction just goes, "It's a spaceship? How am I supposed to have insurance on a spaceship?" Then grabs a Bud Light, cracks it open, just chugs it. And I'm like,
Oh, he's worried about insurance.
yeah, that is your exact reaction.
Oh, that's just so funny to me. So I got a good idea. Let's talk about over the top moments, shall we?
Oh, good lord!
For this movie, it's like, where do we start with this? Like,
I'm gonna kick this one off.
yeah,
One of my
please. I want to hear.
favorites.
Go.
During the second twist, they go after the two.
Yeah,
the one they call the sisters.
Yeah, this.
When the cow comes through, just like cow, then comes back another cow. I think it was the same one.
That's the same one.
Like, here's the thing: you wonder just how is that cow still alive? If it's getting thrown around like that, there is more debris. That thing has probably been impaled at some point.
Yeah,
Not decapitated.
And also,
not-
it just
yeah.
conveniently moves the same sound effects when it comes across. We can literally rewatch. If we had the audio clipped on us, I will bet every dollar in my bank account it is the same moo sound effect when it goes each direction.
They shouldn't even be hearing it moo. They should be hearing whoosh.
Yeah, and the fact that the sisters go right over them on the bridge and the truck doesn't get taken, it just gets moved around a little bit.
It just gets a little ring around the rosy.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm like, really? Like, okay.
I will say that I always like the funnel clouds in it.
Oh yeah, like here's the thing: you gotta admit the effects for the tornadoes. Like, I don't know for certain if they managed to get footage from weather stations who are out recording these things, but if it was visual effects, the tornado effects were actually really, really good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another thing that you gotta admit though. The twister effects in this, I think they actually hold up pretty well.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, the only two effects that I feel didn't age well was the CGI orbit Earth shot and the sensors getting released from Dorothy at the end. But
yeah,
for just those two short scenes, for those being the only effects that didn't age well, the film itself aged well, really good.
Yeah, so, hey, Preston, so I'd like to hear your input. So what over the top scene for you, what would it be?
Top scene?
Over the top.
Over the top, where it just takes a situation and just escalates it to 1,000 or something.
Honestly, just any part of the first tornado scene with Dorothy, they are just so insanely ballistic with the way they're talking. And it's like, I get it, you're under a lot of pressure and you're having to do this, but it's like, take a chill pill. Flipping out is not going to help anyone.
Yeah, it's like Bill and Joe they're arguing about their marriage in the truck, and Bill's slowly.
He nearly crashes the truck just
right.
because, and Joe's reaction is just like, "Watch out!" It's just like, can I drive? No.
Yeah.
Then can you?
Man,
And she nearly kills them for a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like my over the top scene is where Joe and Bill somehow survived the F5 at the end of the movie. Like they're inside an outhouse made out of wood. How do they not get torn to shreds from all the debris?
Magic steel pipes.
Magic
steel pipes. They
and
must go.
And the strongest leather belt you're ever gonna see.
Yeah, they just tie a couple of belts to the pipe. They tie their legs to it or something.
They harness themselves to it.
Yeah, and then
that should be splintered wood going in their lungs.
yeah, and just like
F5.
they're just hanging there. They're inside the core, and they're just watching. Like, oh, okay.
Hey, we get to see the center of a tornado.
Whoa, this is the last thing my dad saw before he sadly died.
The scene where Dr. Malcolm gets crushed by a hut in Jurassic Park is more believable than that. And it's not believable.
Yeah.
He gets trucked by a frickin' T-Rex.
And
Since we've been mentioning like the scales, like the F scales for the tornadoes, we got to go and acknowledge they would not be able to identify the class of tornado because you can't identify that until you see how much damage it's causing and its intensity.
Yeah.
And a grass blade should have been able to kill them in an F5.
Oh yeah, like
It's like a bullet in that speed.
And it's just like the fact that Bill and Joe outrun it on foot.
Probably another funny thing that I just think about is while they're trying to run for shelter, the first hut they go into has a bunch of like farming equipment, and it's meant to shoot like a horror scene. Like, who are these people? And I'm literally just like, they're farmers.
Yeah.
Those sickles,
Yeah.
the hoes, the shovels, the axes. That's the equipment they need.
Right.
And like, I just like how Bill's like, no, and they run out of the barn, they close the door, the F5 is right in front of them, and they're still watching!
Like, why'd they bother closing the door? Just, what was that gonna do?
Like, they literally went out, they closed the door shut, I'm like, run, you idiots!
I suppose maybe it could help prevent a sickle getting flown into the air and hitting them.
Yeah,
but that's really stretching out what their thought process
Yeah,
could be.
it's just...
Okay, back to some more things on the ending. The joke on just like how the tornado didn't take the house, so it took everything else within a mile radius of the tornado itself.
Well,
and it didn't take a house.
Well, it's just like, it was supposed to go back to when Joe and Bill had the argument, and Joe's like, you never seen it, miss that house, miss this one, but it took mine. Or something.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to go back to that where it's like things happen you just can't explain. It just happens.
Yeah, you can't explain the fact that a clearly dangerous tornado that was right on top of this house didn't take the house.
Didn't take the house.
Did it even rip the shingles off? I can't.
Well, it was
remember.
damaged.
It was damaged, but the house was still there. It was still on its foundation.
Like literally, it's just an empty area. Everything's gone, but somehow the house. I'm good.
Yeah. And back to other over-the-top scenes.
Yeah.
At the very end, when the team's coming, just like, oh, how are we going to handle this? And then Joe and Bill just start making out right there in front of everyone.
Yeah.
That would just make everyone uncomfortable. And you guys know me, the jokes that would be coming out of my mouth in that moment.
Oh, man. Aiden, this is PG podcast. We can't do that.
Why do you think I'm not saying the jokes, man? Look, you tell me to pump the brakes here, I pump the brakes.
Right.
If you want, get feedback from your viewers and ask if they want the full R rating for this podcast.
Like, I was literally thinking about that today. I'm just like, should I just start a
Patreon?
Yeah.
just film 2 episodes. One where they do this where we're pumping the brakes, and one where we just don't hold back whatsoever.
Like, here, you can find the R rating of this on Patreon.
Hey, here's the thing, if you start that, you're paying us for those episodes.
Oh no.
Nope, that's what you get. Look, we're doing this one for free because this is fun, but the second you start making money off of this, you're paying us.
Oh man.
Sorry, you don't get to work us for free.
And also, an over-the-top scene, the entire drive-in theater scene. Like, can we please talk about that? Like, of course, they're they're showing The Shining of all the movies, and of course, the Twister hits the screen right as Jack's doing the famous "Here's Johnny."
It's jumping around the scenes in the film so much. There is no continuity from where the film starts to where it ends when the Twister comes.
And that's an iconic enough movie that they can't say the audience wouldn't notice. That was a terrible decision on whoever did that.
And I like how they're hiding inside the mechanic shop, and like when the Twister sideswipes the building, it sends all the hubcaps in the air,
that's what it would make. Like
that's what it would do. Yeah,
it was a good place to go to because they had that lower area.
The lower area, yeah.
And that was the best they could do to get underground in the time they had.
Yeah.
Like, going back to the drive-in, though, why would you play The Shining at a drive-in for a family? That is not a family
like, there's
movie.
literally...
well, there are occasions they'll do stuff like that, but it's why they're like... That's why they have, at this time, this movie will be playing, so parents can know when, like, okay. We don't want to be here.
That's true.
Like, have you never been to a drive-in before?
Nope.
Oh, right. You're uncultured.
Yeah.
And just think, everyone, this guy's older than me, and I know more than him.
Remember, if you have any weapons and this man is in your area, please lock them tight.
Yeah, yeah, I second that.
I hate you both.
Like Preston, I was at the drive-in last weekend watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. They still exist.
These kid has never been to a drive-in. Well, then again, he's from the Chicago suburbs.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they don't exactly have drive-ins there.
This is why living in the countryside's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
You won't get an argument from me there. Although we have better food.
Shut up right now.
You haven't had Chicago food.
I have had Chicago food. I've been to Chicago, and you can shut up.
It's so good.
Sorry, we're not turning this into
an episode
where we talk about the better of living in Chicago.
Here, hold on, guys. I'm gonna pause this. We'll start a new one. Let's talk food today, guys. So I'm starting a podcast talking about just food.
Chicago deep dish or die.
Okay, I will agree with Chicago deep dish or die.
So yeah, that's pretty much like all we can really talk about with the film. Just dude, that was like one of the most exciting things I wanted to talk about was the over the top. Like
instead of talking like a serious one like we did last time with Blade Runner, you wanted to do one that's this is just an insane movie. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's the mindset I had going into this. Just let's not hold back. Let's just talk about how insanely crazy.
You didn't want me to hold back? Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, somewhat. Let's not hold back just discussing how over the top some elements of this film are.
Aiden, don't make us call 911.
Yeah. Like, I have...
You need to call 911. It's just jokes. Jokes are free speech.
But...
Boo.
We just sit in silence like, oh man.
All right, if this is how you act, don't invite me back on this podcast anymore, imbeciles.
Cut.
Yeah, cut. Aiden's canceled. You're not. Cancel him.
You can't cancel me. I don't have social media.
Oh no! Dang it!
I have found the loophole.
But now, here's the thing, though, guys.
Sorry, real quick. Why does that seem like a Elon Musk Twitter meme? Like, you can't cancel me. I don't have
media. One. It's just like you can't cancel me. I bought your.
That was literally the whole reason he bought it.
Right. Except he failed at buying it.
Unfortunately, but still, it was cool though. Now, guys, here's the other question. Now, do you think that it's possible? Like, it ain't possible now, but do you think it's possible to maybe make a sequel to this?
I thought I found it when I was researching for this.
Yeah,
movie.
do you want to talk about that a minute? I'm kind of curious.
Let me just see if I can find that again.
So fun fact, last weekend we were watching Deadpool, the three of us, and we got bored, so we started looking up like bad sequel plots, and we ended up going over a ton of Disney ones.
Doesn't look to be actually a sequel because it has none of the original cast, so it's not a true sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Sharknado, though. That's a great sequel.
Oh, the fact that when we broke Christian spirit when we looked up how much that film grossed, like a couple $1 billion.
Yeah.
Oh, I literally left the room. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm going to bed. Night, guys.
Anyway, this film, like, when you look up Twister 2, it comes out as Atomic Twister. Yep. So, this is it. Here's the synopsis that I got from IMDb. When a tornado hits a nuclear power plant and damages the cooling system, manager Corin McGuire, played by Sharon Lawrence, and her staff try to avert a total meltdown. Meanwhile, her son, Campbell, played by Daniel Costello, has gone missing during the Twister. Cornelia asks her friend policeman Jake Hanna, played by Mark Paul Glosler, I don't know how to pronounce that, to locate Campbell and take him to safety. While the plant needing fuel to power the manual cooling motor, Jake must also drive a tanker to the facility and prevent a complete disaster.
We have to watch this.
My god,
dude,
it sounds terrible.
It is available on free. This is one that, like, I know we're not going to do it tonight, but this one is available for free on, like, Amazon Prime, Tubi, Vudu.
We have to watch this.
This one is on our list.
The fact that it's free on Tubi tells you just...
Like, yeah,
the free
that's all.
movies on Tubi are so bad.
Like, can you imagine if this was a Twister sequel? It's like, Joe, Bill, like, we need your help. A Twister hit our nuclear plant.
Oh, wait. Hang on. I just found something on Looper. Why Helen Hunt actually had an idea for Twister 2 and it never got a chance. So we'd have to do this another time, but this is an article that you can look up on.
Okay.
Helen Hunt had an idea for Twister 2, the official Twister 2.
So I guess that answers the question. No. Unless you consider Atomic Twister a sequel.
Oh, I am considering this a sequel because it says Twister in the title. It's a sequel.
Oh, man.
That's Helen Hunt's real idea.
Yeah.
Twister covered it up. I guess this is a conspiracy cast now.
Yeah, can you just imagine the tagline for the poster? It's like, Twister meets Chernobyl. Chernobyl.
Twister meets Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. It's chilly Chernobyl.
Oh my gosh. Now I've heard everything.
Oh man. Okay. Hear everything?
All right, that's enough, Aidan.
That's enough. That's enough of that. Like, we got, like, what's in that joke right now?
I think it's time to wrap up.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. It's like, did you have a scene in Twister, right? You're just watching, you're just frustrated, like, just do this. It'll save everything. So, okay, you know how, like, during the last, like, 30 minutes where they have two Dorothys left and they have one ready to go on the highway, but a tree hits it, and then the tree goes under the Dodge and it gets stuck and Bill can't get the truck unstuck before the semi truck that's heading towards them hits them. I'm like, dude, put it in the, like, what's it called again?
Reverse
or no,
four-wheel drive.
Like, yeah, like that truck has extremely high wheels. You're telling me you can't get it in like four-wheel to get it off the branch?
I can't say anything on this. I'm not a big truck driver.
I actually can.
Yeah, like
I'm
I've
a big
driven
truck
several
driver.
trucks. Like my high school truck had that.
Here's the problem. They probably were already in four-wheel.
Oh, you think?
And
I think so. Like if they're running away from a tornado.
And also, it wasn't just one wheel that was caught. It was both back wheels.
Oh, both back.
So
yeah.
it was basically just like wedged in there. So four-wheel drive probably would have actually, if it wasn't already in there, it would have made it worse because it would just wrap it around.
Oh, you think so?
To get into the gears, it would have made things a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like another horrible CG effect, the semi truck. Oh my gosh, it's dated as well. And
it's
like,
about as dated as me.
You're only 23, dude.
Yeah,
I know, but we've had a rough day.
Yeah,
You've had a rough day. I'm fine.
and also I like how the semi truck hits them. The Dodge, not even a dent, just knocks them off the tree. Let's get out of here.
To showcase how powerful the Dodge Ram is.
Yeah. Totally not sponsored
Okay,
by
I know
Dodge
none
Ram.
of you listening can see this, but Preston is just giving me the biggest cringe of I have ever seen. Just because I had to give my Dodge advertisement voice.
Hey, Christian, blink twice if you need help for the audience.
They can't see you, they can only hear you.
I'll leave that up to you to interpret, audience.
Yeah.
Did he blink or did he not?
Did he not? It's up to your. It's up
Put
to your.
a poll up when you post this.
Yeah, take a poll. Did DJ Paul blink when asked this question? So that is our talk of the Twister film. That was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. Oh, man.
Go to our Patreon to find the rated R version.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So thank you for listening to this podcast episode. And I just want to say thank you again for my awesome comrades to join me on this one again. And I just thank you. I hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Oh, we had a lot of fun on this one.
We absolutely did.
Yeah, so this is DJ Apollo and
Preston and Aidan.
signing off. And we'll see you next time. This is DJ Apollo here on Tales of Music and Film.